Good evening, students. This is Deekam Pathak from Freebird's Experiences. I welcome you all to this wonderful series called Fun with NCERT. So before we start, we'd like to express our gratitude to the Government of Meghalaya and of course Innovation Hub, Shillong Science Center, for making this session free for students. The aim of these activity-based workshops are to ignite the love for science and technology in students and to recommend the textbooks as published by the NCERT. Now a little about ourselves. Freebirds is a community of experiential travelers, learners and hosts connected by the common purpose of enriching lives through experiences. We bring to you domain experts to make learning fun and interesting. We are partnering with Educult, a student community started with a mission to democratize learning in the Northeast India. And lastly, do keep the links handy for all these sessions and follow Innovation Hub's Facebook page to receive updates about this session and schedule. So without taking much time, let's get straight into the session, and let me hand over the session to Ms. Himashri. Ms. Himashri, please continue on the session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank Innovation Hub Shillong Science Center and the Freebird community for giving us such wonderful opportunity. So I am Himashri Kalita, and research intern at Marine Biologics, and I have designed some fun activity based on the NCERT's biology syllabus. And for today's topic, I have selected respiration. So let's get started with our activity. So what is respiratory system? It is a set of organs that we use for breathing and the gaseous exchange. In human, normally it has been said that lungs is our respiratory system, but actually it's not. There is a set of organs that are involved in the whole respiration process. So what are those and what are their individual parts in the respiration process? So let's get started, and we'd like to make a very simplified version of our respiratory system with some very common items that are found in our house. So let's get started with our process, and I will tell you all the things that I have required for this model preparation. These are the things that are required for the model preparation: a scissor, a pen, pencil, 2 straws, 2 balloons, and 3 different colored papers. So I will start with the lung, and I will draw a pair of lung in this paper. I have drawn it with a pencil so that I don't make any mistake in the shape of lung. Again, I am telling you this is just a simplified version of human respiratory system, not the exact shape and size of all the organs that is involved in the respiratory process. So this is a simplified structure or a simplified model of lung that I have drawn in this paper. Now I will cut this according to the borderlines. So I'm done with the pair of lung. Now, the other parts of respiratory system, one of the major part is nose. Let's draw a nose. This is our nose. And this is a pair of lip which will represent the mouth, the position of mouth. Now we will take another white piece of paper to just get this set. I will stick this pair of lung in the paper by using some glue. Now, these straws will work as our windpipe or trachea. I will stick them with the help of a sellotape. So these straws will act as the trachea of our system. Now, each balloon will go in its trachea or in its bronchus. Focus with its straw. I will fix the nose with the help of a double-sided tape. can do the same with the mouth part also. So, the human respiratory system, a simplified version of human respiratory system is this. These are our pair of lungs. This is our nose, and these straws represent the trachea. Now, how does this work, and what are their functions? So, let me demonstrate with you how does this model work, and how does our respiratory system actually work. So, for that, I will take this and I will blow this in the other side of the straw. Then, as you can see, when I blow up the balloons, they will swell up. So, in human respiratory system, this swelling up of the lungs in our system, these are the balloons represent lungs. So, the swell up of balloon represent the inhalation. That is entry of air into the lungs, and this flattening of the lungs will represent the exhalation. That is out push out the air out of our body. So this is the basic inhalation and exhalation process of our human respiratory system. And let me show you once again. This is inhalation, and this is exhalation. Air into our body, air outside of our body. So, this is a simplified version of our human respiratory system: nose, trachea, and lungs. And these are the bronchioles that each of our lungs have. But how does they work? And what are their each of them has different functions in the whole respiration system process. So, for explaining the further process of the respiration, how this actually happening in our body, I would like to share a slide with you so let me share my presentation with you. So what is respiratory system? As I have explained earlier, this is a set of organs that allow person to breathe or exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide throughout the body. Not only person, every organism has its own respiratory system, which is more or less similar in structure. Here we will talk definitely about human. So, this is the basic part of human respiratory system: nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, and lungs. If I zoom in the picture itself, you can see the respiratory system or respiratory organs will start with nasal cavity, and the most visible part of our body is the nostrils. We can see our nostrils and then the air will enter through our nostrils to nasal cavity. Then it will go to pharynx, then larynx, and then through trachea it will divide it into two bronchus. One goes to each lungs, left and right, and then in lungs we can see many branches of the bronchus. We call them bronchioles, and then they go into alveolus. These small granular parts where actually gases exchange takes place. These are alveolus, where actually gaseous exchange takes place. So how the gaseous exchange will take place, I will later explain that very clearly. Now let's see the parts. So as I have told you earlier that the nose is the first organ or first part of our whole respiratory system. So nose is we can visualize the nostrils. Then after nostrils, there is this whole nasal cavity. This nasal cavity is divided into again three parts. As you can see, this green portion we call is vestibule. So these vestibules have some cilia-like structure, that is hair-like structure. If you in your nose, there will be some hair-like structure in every person's nose. So they and why they are present in the nose? So they are there to push away the foreign particle that enters through air. They just push away any other things more air so that they won't enter in our air pathway. After alveolar region, there is this big region of respiratory region. So this respiratory region will push back the air to the next level of respiratory tract, that is the pharynx. And one portion of air that is entered in the respiratory region, they will go directly into the olfactory region. Now, what is olfactory region and why they are important? So olfactory regions are important because they have the receptor of smell. So we can smell many good smell, odors, and various things, that because of this olfactory region of our nasal cavity. So after nasal cavity, the air will enter in the next part of the respiratory tract, that is pharynx. This whole thing is called pharynx. So pharynx is a very important part in both our digestive and respiratory tract because it is the common pathway for both air and food. So this first part of pharynx is known as nasopharynx, and which is connected to the nasal cavity. So that's why its name is nasopharynx. Then this is oropharynx, and this is laryngopharynx, which is connected to the third part of our respiratory tract, that is larynx. So why this pharynx is so important for us? This is because of this small structure present here known as epiglottis. Epiglottis. This is a very small structure. Why this is so important for us? So let me show you the structure of epiglottis. This epiglottis will act as a lead for our respiratory tract so that no food can enter in our respiratory tract, and they will definitely go to the esophagus, that is the food digestive tract of human. As I have told you in few minutes back, that this is the common pathway for both food and air. So if some of our food intake will enter the lungs, that will cause a very serious problem. So epiglottis is important as they will cover the respiratory tract while food is entering. So without epiglottis, there may be a serious problem of swelling our food through our windpipe. So epiglottis or pharynx has a very important role in our respiratory system. Then come the larynx. Larynx is also known as voice box because this area is this particular organ or particular part of our respiratory tract is very important in producing our sound. I am talking, you are listening to my voice just because of this larynx. Larynx is also known as voice box. Larynx has three parts. This hyoid part, this thyroid cartilage, and crioid cartilage. So I have told you that larynx is known as voice box. Which part of larynx? This thyroid cartilage is the biggest part of larynx. As you can see, it covers a huge area. So this thyroid cartilage will have some ligaments. They are known as voice cords. So these voice cords, when wind enter through the voice cords, they will vibrate, and this vibration will lead to production of sound. So I am speaking because an air is entering through my voice cords, so my voice cords, and they are vibrating, and you can listen to my sound. With larynx, there is the end of upper respiratory tract and beginning of the lower respiratory tract. That and the first part of that is trachea. As you can see, trachea is directly connected to larynx, and it will follow as one. So up to fifth vertebrae, it will go as a one pipe. We call it windpipe, and then at a position called bronchus, they will divide into two, right bronchus and left bronchus, depending upon the side of human body, that is left side and right side. The one bronchi will enter to the left lung and one will enter to the right lungs. So after trachea, okay, now trachea will divide it into two bronchus. The bronchus will divide it into bronchioles. These divisions, branch-like structure, we will call them bronchioles. This structure, and bronchioles again divided and lead into alveolus. As you have remember in the first slide itself, I have told you that these are alveolus are the actual place of gaseous exchange. How? If we if we can see, the alveolus have a higher amount of blood capillaries. So they took the oxygen from these bronchioles and give them to RBCs. And same in the same process, they will take carbon dioxide from the RBCs or blood cells and return it to the environment, following the same path that is I have explained in just few minutes. So with that, I have explained the whole parts of human respiratory system, that is nose, pharynx, larynx, trachea, then lungs. After that, what are the function of respiratory system? The main function of respiratory system is respiration. And there are two types of respiration, that is external respiration, that is intake of oxygen from environment, and give out carbon dioxide from our body. Besides that, there are some other also other functions are also, that is it filter the inspired air, that is the work of nasal cavity that produces sound, that is the work of our voice box that contain receptor of smell, that is the work of olfactory receptor of the nasal cavity. Now, what is internal respiration and why it is important? So internal respiration is bringing the oxygen from the alveolus to cells and removing the carbon dioxide from cells to alveolus and then outside of the body. So this is the external respiration and internal respiration, and the major function of our respiratory system. So that's with the respiratory system. Now I will explain how respiration actually happens. I am telling you that I have shown you in the model also that is inhalation and exhalation happen, but how does that work? So for that, this particular flat muscle known as diaphragm, which is present just below our rib cage, this is the rib cage, is responsible. For inhalation, that is intake of air, this diaphragm will go downward and become flat here. So because of that, the whole chest cavity will enlarge. When the volume of the chest cavity increase, the pressure of the chest cavity definitely goes down. So air from the more concentrated area that is outside of our body will rush into the lung cavity to fill that air gap between the two cavities, that is the outside of our body and the inside of our body. So this is known as air inhalation or the inhalation of inhalation process. Now, exhalation is the exact opposite of this. Now, after inhalation, the diaphragm will originally push back to its original position, and then the chest cavity was reduced, and now the pressure of air is more inside the chest cavity than the outside atmosphere. So air will push through the whole respiratory tract that I have explained earlier to outside of the body. This is exhalation. So when we intake air, this is called inhalation, and when we push out the air, that is called exhalation. This is just a simple explanation of whole process of respiratory system, inhalation and exhalation. See, in this picture, you can see it very clearly. The diaphragm goes down, chest cavity expand, then the air will enter in the chest cavity, which is inhalation. And in next picture, the diaphragm come back to its original position, the chest cavity come back to its normal position, then the chest cavity pressure will now more than the outside air, so air push out to the atmosphere. This is exhalation. So that's with the whole respiratory tract in a simplified version, and the process of inhalation and exhalation in very simple explanation. Now, there are many diseases that are related to human respiratory system. One of the most is viral infection. We all have suffered from influenza, and these are very common viral infection that is related to our respiratory system. That is cough and getting some snots in our nose. All these are human respiratory systems disease. Then asthma, we have sinusitis, that is we call sinus, which is a very common respiratory human respiratory system disease nowadays. Then pneumonia, which is very serious disease, and then we have the lung cancer, which is like in our northeastern area, which is a very common and most deadly diseases that we have. So that's with the with that, I have explained the respiratory tract of human respiratory system, how does it work and how the inhalation and exhalation process work. And I have mentioned some name of diseases also. But what about plants? That I have done with human part. But what about parts? Plants, do they breathe? And if they do, what are their parts? Where is the nose, or where is anything? So for plants, they don't have uh, such complicated system of many organs and something like that. For that, they have a very simplified organ that is called stomata, which is a plural form of stoma. But what is stomata and where they are present? Why can't we see them? So for stomata, visualizing the stomata, I will demonstrate a very simple experiment to you. For that, I have taken some water in a beaker and put them together get warm. So I have used a beaker and a microwave because those are available for me. But for you, whichever apparatus is available, you can use that. So uh, when the water is getting boiled or getting warm, I will tell you what is stomata. So I have tell you that stomata is a respiratory organ of plant. Actually, stomata have many more function than the respiration itself. It will help in photosynthesis and in transpiration also. But I will talk about mainly the respiration part. For stomata, as I have told you, stoma is the single cell and stomata is various number cell. In our plant leaf, this we call this leaf as upper surface of the leaf and this is lower surface. So like this kind of flat leaves, there are all stomatas are present in the lower surface. If upper surface also have stomata, they are very low in number. And for some leaves that is very commonly find one leaf in your area is pine. So in pine, both the sides have stomatas, so that they can get the required amount of gaseous exchange for their photosynthesis and respiration. So my water get warm. Now I will put this flower directly into this warm water and see. Let's see what happened to it. As you can see, there are some water bubbles that are starting. These water bubbles as you can see, the beaker has some water bubbles. Where are these water bubbles and coming from and why they are coming? So these are carbon dioxide that have been released by from the leaf by stomata. So by this experiment, we can prove that there are a presence of a structure called stomata because they release carbon dioxide as a form of water bubble in warm water. So I have told you that stomata helps in respiration. Stomata has three parts, and for that I would like to again share my screen with you so that I can give you a visualized experience of what is stomata and how this stomata is look like. This is the structure of stomata. This kidney-like or bean-like structure, we known as this is as guard cell. This pore that is in between the guard cell, this is known as cell pore. And these other cells that is surrounding the guard cell, they are known as subsidiary cells. Now, what is cell pore? So these are present. This is the microscopical view of a stomata, and you can see the cell pore very clearly here. This area is known as cell pore. And through this cell pore, we can the gaseous exchange or the transpiration takes place. Then these are the guard cells. Guard cells are of two types. In dicot, they are this kidney shaped, and in monocot, they are like this, a dumbbell shape. So in the whole stomatal apparatus, guard cell is a very important part of it because opening and closing of stomata is totally depend on this guard cell. And subsidiary cells, they are epidermal cell which surrounds the guard cells like this. These are epidermal subsidiary cells. These are. So how the stomata open and close? So for the opening of stomata, I will tell you a very simplified version of the whole process. Water will enter from the epidermis cell, that is subsidiary cells, to the guard cell, and they will swell up. And so the stomatal pore will open. And in this system, the water will go out from the guard cell and the stomata will remain closed. So when stomata is open, gaseous exchange will take place. When stomata is not open, then no gaseous exchange will take place. And also when stomata is open, the water vapor also outside will release from the plant, and so the when plant don't need any gaseous exchange, they will prefer to close the stomata to prevent the loss of excess water. So this is the function of stomata. They help in gaseous exchange and the release of water that is produced during the photosynthesis. So as you have known that plant respiration is also similar as human respiration, but the amount of oxygen they need is very less as they produce their own oxygen by the process of photosynthesis. So nowadays there is a thing called plant trees. Why that is so important? Because plant took carbon dioxide from the environment to produce food for by the process called photosynthesis, and then they release water vapor and oxygen to the environment. Again, plant also took oxygen as for respiration and release carbon dioxide, but the amount they release carbon dioxide, which is very less than the amount of carbon dioxide they have taken from the environment just to make their food, that is through photosynthesis. So plants are savior of us because they took up almost major part of our environment carbon dioxide and uses them to make it oxygen and water, which is very essential for us humans or other organisms. So please plant more trees so that we can get more oxygen and our carbon dioxide level in the environment will get very low because of their photosynthesis process. So this is the water bubble is still there are some water bubbles in the leaf surface, lower surface of the leaf. As you can see, these water bubbles are nothing but carbon dioxide that has been released from the leaf through stomata. This, as you will try to show you. So that's the function of stomata, and I have said three terms, that is respiration, photosynthesis, and transpiration. I have told you know about photosynthesis. I have told you about respiration, but what is transpiration? So transpiration is release of water vapor through stomata. And where is this water coming from? This water is coming from the process of photosynthesis because they took carbon dioxide and they produce food that is glucose and water vapor and oxygen. So they release oxygen in form of gas. That is, we got oxygen from plants. We always told that to everyone, and we get water vapor from this. Now you may ask, how do you know that we are getting water vapor from any plant? So for that, please do a once very simple thing. Go to a very big tree early morning. You will get water droplets when you touch the leaves. Whether this water droplets will come, or they are coming from where they are coming from. So they are the release of water vapor from plants through stomata. But we can see it in daytime because in daytime there is sun and the water vapor gets evaporated quickly as soon as they come out from the leaf. But in the morning there is no sun and the water vapor don't get easily evaporated. So we can see the water vapors from the plant and very beautifully. And all the water droplets we can take it in our hands also. You can go to any tree, but in big trees there are more leaves and more water vapor, more stomata and more water vapors. But in small trees there will be less number of stomata and less number of water vapors. So this is the function of stomata. I hope you will understand. I have explained it in a very simplified version. The human respiratory system and the plant, how do they breathe? Not the respiratory system of plant. That is how do they breathe. Is there anything I can explain further? And yes, if things are not clear from my side or anything you have missed, please go and watch the YouTube video we have prepared, and we will give you the link in the description. Please go and watch that and try to make these models and try to perform this small experiment at home. When you can make these models with the help of your siblings or anyone and show it to everyone that come to your house or like anything. You can. I think you have understood something about our human respiratory system. And yes, this is a very complicated process, and you will find many more complex processes for the respiratory system. But I have tried to simplify it because you will find it very interesting. You will find it very interesting when you go into when you study it more and more. Yes, this is simplified version, and this is also a very simple experiment. But this is the primary knowledge of the subject. I hope you will like it very, and you will try to make this experiment. If you have anything to ask, you can ask me. And for the videos, please go to Marjan Biologics YouTube channel. You will get all our videos there. So, any questions you can ask me? Thank you so much for being such a great, for giving such a great session. And for further videos, we'll try to make more interesting contents. Please keep watching our videos and our sessions. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Himashri, for the wonderful session. Hopefully, personally I had a great time, and hopefully so that the students will be watching this at home. And for the YouTube video, it will be mentioned in the description. And for any question, please do feel free to contact the team in Merger. And thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much, Ms. Himashri, for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much. Bye-bye. Let's meet next time. Until then, bye-bye. Take care.